Welcome to the very first episode of Little Miss Podcast with Maya Rahman. I am Maya Rahman, your host, and I'm so excited to have you here. Our first episode is Little Miss Lightning Doesn't Strike in the Same Place Twice Until It Does. I picked this as the first topic for this episode because it's a current internal dilemma that I'm experiencing, and this is kind of the outcome of that. For those of you who don't know me, first of all, welcome. Second of all, I have done social media my entire life. I am self-taught. I remember when I was in elementary school, I put out my first YouTube video, and I really fell in love with documenting, creating, sharing, community building. I felt like really inspired and passionate about these things. Also because I didn't really have many friends, so YouTube was a huge outlet for me, and I would stay up all night filming and editing and then post in the morning, and I had my routine. And I remember when I got my first paycheck from YouTube, it was like the craziest era for me. And all of this, I was like in middle school. It was kind of really insane. And I didn't even blow up or anything like that. I still have about like 2,000 followers on YouTube. So it really was just such a passion project for me. And I loved it. And it was so fulfilling for so long until it wasn't. Halfway through high school, I just fell out of love with it, something that I didn't enjoy anymore. And I am somebody, and this is very important to know, I am somebody who is I pride myself on authenticity. I will not put out something that I don't love. I want to feel inspired by everything that I share, and I want to feel like it really represents me properly. And it is something that if you were to watch it, you would get an actual sense of who I am. So I'm not pushing things just to push them. I'm not talking about things just to talk about them. That's kind of been my entire method behind all of the content I've created, given when I was younger and I did social media stuff, it was a lot of makeup tutorials and vlogs and whatever it was, but I was authentic and I was sharing to the best of my ability, and I loved that part of my life. But I didn't love it in high school. I took all of my talents and I took all of my strategy and everything that I had taught myself, and I pushed it forward, and I started doing social media management for businesses locally. And I found a new passion in that. I really loved giving a brand identity and helping businesses form brand identities, because marketing is such a strong asset, and it's something that not everybody, in my opinion, you can obviously learn marketing, you can go to school, you can get certifications, but to have an eye to build a brand, it takes talent. And it's one of those things that you might be born with it, you might not be born with it, you might teach yourself, you might not. But it is such an asset and it's such a skill that not a lot of people have. And I discovered I had that, and I wanted to share it with everybody. I took on as many clients as I could. I branded as many businesses locally as I could until halfway through college, my brother launched his own business, and he named me marketing director of his company. And it just so happens that the first piece of content we put out together went super mega viral, and he turned into this like real life creator. I really got a front row seat at what it is to be a content creator and all of that stuff, and going to these crazy events and living this insane life and brand deals and partnerships and negotiations and contracts. Like, I got the front row seat to all of that, and I helped him with all of that, and it was so interesting. But on the flip side, I also built his brand. I also did everything with the business front side of things, the logos, branding, color palettes, events. So I was getting the best of both worlds. I mean, there have been so many incredible experiences that I'm kicking myself that I did not document on this journey. Brand trips, work trip, like everything we've done has been so amazing. And I love to document and create, and I'm kind of getting that itch again. So, lightning never strikes the same place twice until it does. I loved content creation. I jumped on it when I was younger. I fell out of love with it, and I feel like it's coming back. I feel like it's circling back for myself, and I'm re-falling in love with the community building and the creation and the documenting of everything. And that's why I wanted to make this podcast. Funny enough, the name of this podcast is very special to me, Little Miss, because when I did YouTube, it wasn't my first YouTube name, but it was my second one. And it was the one that I really buckled down and built my YouTube. And I taught myself everything I knew about editing. I got my first paycheck from YouTube during that era. My YouTube handle was Little Miss Makeover 27. And I know that Little Miss became a trend last year, so it's a little overhyped. And I was thinking about that when I was picking the name, and I was like, oh my God, it's going to kind of be it seems like I'm trying to jump on that trend, but I maybe was not the original Little Miss, but in my life, I was the original Little Miss. So this is very full circle for me to circle back and do this and create this with Little Miss by my side, because in my head, it just represents the younger version of me that was living her dreams, and here I am again. So I think that in life, sometimes and it's normal and it's so natural to be so inspired and passionate about something and then fall out of love with it. It happens all the time. It happens in work, it happens in relationships, it happens in friendships. Something that you thought was your entire world, or things finally felt like they were aligning for you, and the puzzle pieces started falling in place, then suddenly you're just not interested. And then you have to make that difficult dilemma and decision with yourself of, well, I've spent so much time in this, I've invested so much in this, but my heart isn't there anymore. And do I make the decision to stay or to walk away and find something else? And there is nothing scarier in life than making this decision, in my opinion. Even if you're unhappy, sometimes being unhappy, but being comfortable and being familiar with expectations, you know what the day to day is like, you know what the experience is on this side. So a lot of people just suck it up and deal with it, versus the complete unknown, the darkness, the what if it is better than I ever imagined, and what if it is worse than I ever imagined. And naturally, the human brain, unless you are a very positive person, freaks yourself out and you're like, no, 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 that's so scary. I don't know what I'm going to do. Blah, blah, blah. Where's money? Where's this? Where's love? And we often convince ourselves that we're never going to experience the same high that we experienced on this side when we try something new. And I'm here to tell you that life is so interesting. It is so complex. And you are such a multifaceted person. You get very comfortable in something and you take it on as your identity, and you feel like this is what you have to do. You have to see this through. That's not true at all. If your heart is not in it and if you're not passionate about it, I encourage you to drop it. Whether it is work, whether it is a passion project, whether it is a career, whether it is a partner or friendship, go explore what else life has to offer. And if you do explore it, what's the worst that can happen? That it didn't turn out as expected? Okay. Well, thank God you invested so much time into this thing that you could probably, well, I'm not going to tell you to circle back, because let's say you ended a relationship or something, and then I'm not going to tell you to get, you know, whatever. I think that but it does happen. Like, as much as we're like, okay, like, don't go back to your ex, it does happen. Sometimes people need space between them to grow apart a little bit and become their own, to then realize how much they truly love and miss and want to be with each other again. And I think that that's a beautiful thing also. In life, we really convince ourselves that there is a system or there is a way to do things. There is no way. There is no guidebook. We are making everything up as we go. So in life, they're going to teach you the safest route is the one that everybody else is taking. That's not true. That's not true at all. You need to make your own life. You need to make your own decisions. You need to figure out what works for you. And even if that doesn't look like what everybody else is doing, who cares? I'm currently in my life in this very middle ground. I know that I am finished with one chapter and I know that I'm opening the other chapter in my life, but I'm kind of stuck in this middle place where nothing kind of feels real, nothing feels very inspiring. I'm kind of stuck in this like, I know the great things are coming, I know good things are coming, but I also am feeling like, okay, well, what right now? Which is fine. You can't expect to feel fulfilled in every second of your life constantly all the time. Everybody goes through this. Something that I have taught myself that I feel like is a very valuable skill. I'm a very sensitive, emotional, sentimental girl. And I truly believe that the only way that you go through things is if you go through them. So you have to allow yourself to go through experiences and emotions, even if they're not comfortable for you, even if you don't want to feel sad or you don't want to feel uneasy or you don't want to feel anxious. Sometimes you need to allow these emotions to pass through you and zoom out. My best advice that I could give you is zoom out of situations and look at the future. I was listening to Leo Skepi's podcast a few months ago, and he said something that really kind of woke me up in a sense. When you realize that you are closing a chapter, or when you realize it's time to make changes in your life, you're aware of it, right? Every day that you don't make those changes is going to become so unbearable, and you are going to become so miserable in your life until those changes are made. And I think that that is the truest thing ever. This goes back to what I was telling you, that you can make the choice of comfort because you know what to expect. You can make the choice of staying where you are, even if you're unhappy, but at least you know what it's going to look like. It's not so scary when you feel like you know it, right? But you're miserable. You're unbearable. You're not happy with your life. So while this other side of the unknown seems a little bit more intimidating, a little bit more scary, oftentimes than not, it is what you need and it's what you want. And every day that you choose to stay exactly where you are, this is not for people who are not aware. If you don't know that you need to change, if you don't feel like the next era is here for you and you're just kind of staying where you are, then bliss is happiness. Do your thing, girl. But the day that you become aware and you're like, oh, this store is closed now, and I need to stop waiting in front of this door and I need to move on to the next door. And it almost becomes, and I recently went through this, which is why I feel so passionately about this. It becomes a sort of discomfort in your life where everything starts to feel very inauthentic. Everything starts to feel very like, who cares? I'm not happy with this. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. And everything starts to feel pointless and meaningless. And it's because you're neglecting that change. And oftentimes we choose that comfort because making the decision to change is hard. Making the decision to glow up in life is hard. Making the decision to leave a relationship is hard. Making the decision to leave a job is hard. Making these uncomfortable choices in life is difficult. And for some people, it's very lonely. When you start cutting out a partner that you've had for 6 years and you end that relationship, suddenly everything that you've known is different. Everything has changed. Choosing to grow and choosing to outgrow the old version of you is difficult. And for many people, it's often lonely. And I know this because I've just experienced this in my life. When you sacrifice the old version of you, because that's essentially what it is, it's a complete sacrifice, you're saying goodbye to who you were. You're saying goodbye to the familiarity and the comfort and the everything that you used to do is gone. You have to continuously move and grow, and it is always going to be the things that make you uncomfortable are the things that are going to lead to the biggest amount of growth in your life. I don't know if this goes for everybody, but I have a really strong intuition. So I'm always very intuitive about situations and people, and so far I really haven't been wrong, so I trust my intuition. I think that if you are feeling like you're starting to become an unfamiliar territory and you are wanting to make some changes in your life, I think the first place to start is with yourself. I think get on really good terms with yourself. Make sure that you are a person that you would trust. Make sure that you are showing up for yourself day in and day out, no matter how you feel. Make sure that you are taking one step towards your goals every single day. And you're going to build this sort of beautiful relationship with yourself of trust. And if there's one person that you need in your corner, it's you. I also feel like 2025 has just been such a time of growth for everybody. I'm noticing a lot of breakups, a lot of makeups, a lot of new hairstyles, a lot of new eras. So I feel like we're all kind of going through it right now. And I'm really proud of you if you chose the difficult route and if you're making a change in your life right now, because your new life is going to cost you your old one. When I saw that quote, girl, I remember I was scrolling on Instagram one day and that quote popped up, and obviously it had gone mega super viral, and I stared at my phone for a solid 2 minutes. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. No doubt about it. Everything you thought you knew, it's going to be gone. The version of you that you thought you knew is going to be gone. You have to relearn yourself. You have to redevelop a relationship with yourself. But you have to trust yourself. You need to know that you're always going to look out for the betterment of you, even if sometimes you have to choose yourself over others. And this is what I mean, that it can be a very lonely path. Sometimes choosing yourself and isolating yourself, or locking in, as we say these days, sometimes locking in is difficult. It's lonely, it's boring, it's repetitive, and it's not really what we want to do when we have TikTok constantly and we see everybody living these insane, exciting lives with hundreds of friends and parties and this and this and this. But sometimes we got to lock in. And if this is your era of locking in, I'm right there with you. And you can do it. And I'm proud of you for making that uncomfortable decision, because nobody wants to choose discomfort. Nobody wants to feel alone. Nobody wants to feel like they're isolating and they're on some movie journey and the plot is just getting thicker. But it is. Every decision you make every single day is going to lead to the betterment of you and your life and your happiness. And you don't know what you like and what you don't like if you've only had one experience. If you've only approached life in one way and you are very comfortable in this one way of living and existing and the choices you make on the daily, You don't know if you really like that or not if you haven't experienced other things. This is my first episode, so have a little bit of grace with me if it feels like it's all over the place. I promise it will get better with time. I'm trusting the process here. But if you are on this journey, I'm right there with you. And I believe in you and I trust you, and we are doing this together. And sometimes a little bit of discomfort is worth all the comfort and all the love and all the growth that you're going to experience down the road. I just want you to trust yourself, because my relationship with myself, I think, has been the anchor of my journey. And if I didn't have such a strong belief in myself and my choices, and that I'm always looking out for the best version of myself, or the best outcome or the best possibilities for myself, I don't know where I would be. If I was somebody who was easily swayed with the wind, or I took everybody's opinions really seriously and to heart, I don't know where I would be. I think I would have a lot of internal doubt. So take my advice and work on the relationship with yourself, because I think that at the end of the day, it is the most important one that you will have. I am going to end the episode here. That was a little bit of a rant and a little bit of a tangent, and I hope that I filled you in on my life and what's going on right now to the best of my abilities. I will have all of the Little Miss socials linked below if you want to connect, as well as my socials, and I really appreciate you so much for showing up and watching this. And I will do my best. I promise you, I will do my best to show up as authentic as possible to these podcast episodes. And all that I ask is that you do the same. And this was the first episode. Thank you. Okay. Diva, I'm filming. Diva, please. He just wants love and attention. How could I say no? I genuinely appreciate you for taking the time to sit with me and watch this episode. If you watched it all the way through, like I said, I will have all of my socials linked below. And thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.